Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alexis, Garcia, and Ed Carson here to break down the market action in today's session for Tuesday, February 20th. And Ed, the index is down today to kick off the shortened trading week, and tech stocks struggled ahead of the highly anticipated Nvidia earnings due out tomorrow. I know we're going to discuss that, but what else do you have on tap for us today?
Want to look at a couple of stocks that were showing, bullish support ahead of earnings, though. Manhattan Associates and ServiceNow, and also look at GigaCloud Technology, a big winner in 2024, but had a big down day today.
All right, we'll get to those stocks, but first, let's check in with those major indexes. The Nasdaq finishing the day down 0.9%. The S&P 500 also down 0.6%. The Dow down about 0.2%, and small caps also finishing in the red, down 1.5%. So Ed, let's take a closer look at the Nasdaq. And as we mentioned, down today, undercutting that 21-day line. But I think the big question for investors heading into tomorrow is, how is the market going to react to Nvidia earnings?
Yeah, I mean, because today's action seems fine. I think it's sort of like we were discussing, how should we describe the market? And I was saying, well, can we have market awaiting Nvidia earnings as a category? And that probably doesn't qualify, but it's because, we touched the 21-day line, but we've done that a few times and we closed above that level. So it's hard to get too concerned. I mean, there have been a number of distribution days, which are high volume selling days or stalling days. A lot of stocks are still acting pretty well. There was, some losses we've seen. But it doesn't look that bad. But again, what's going to happen after those earnings? So I think investors should be thinking about how exposed they are to AI. Do they want to be, a lot of stocks sold? Nvidia had a bad day. A lot of AI type stocks had some significant losses. How damaging they were to the charts can depend. But it's something to be watched for. On the other hand, maybe this is going to finally create some buying opportunities. We've been extended. So, I mean, it's really kind of thing. It's a situation we really do need to wait. There could be some really nice opportunities come in here. It could also be a situation where we might have some more significant losses. So yeah, definitely a waiting game for another day.
Right. And as you mentioned, a lot of investors getting locked out of some of these big winners because of this strong rally. So if you are invested in AI stocks, how would you approach kind of evaluating your holdings ahead of such a big earnings report that could move the market in big ways in either direction?
I mean, it can depend. There's some AI stocks are more speculative than others. I mean, Nvidia seems like it's going to do well as a company for sure. However, regardless of what you think the stock will do or may do in the short term, others are more speculative. You might be thinking, how exposed are you? If all your positions are in AI, well, this is going to be a pretty big report, and you could really take a downward hit. So there's things like your investing style. Are you more looking for the home runs, or are you looking for, like, I want to bank some profits? And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer on some of those things. So you have to make those decisions, but try to follow your rules. Try to think, dispassionately. Don't be thinking about all the money you can be making, but also just think, well, what's the right decision based on these criteria? And so definitely investors should be doing that tonight for sure.
All right, well, let's take a look at the S&P 500. And again, similar action here, volume lighter today, but that 21-day line starting to catch up here a little bit.
Yeah, we still aren't. Sorry, it was a little stuck on that, and it was S&P did not get to the 21-day line, and unlike the Nasdaq, didn't even come close to undercutting last week's lows when we fell on the CPI report. So this looks better. Again, it was really concentrated in some of that tech names. This is down, but you wouldn't think too much of this this move simply from this.
And let's get your thoughts on the Dow. We had some big retailers reporting today. So what are your thoughts here on the chart action?
I mean, look, the Dow hadn't been rising as much. You can see this relative strength line had been falling, so it was lagging the S&P and especially maybe the Nasdaq. But yeah, today, so it doesn't have the same tech giant. Certainly the AI plays in the same way. Walmart was a real winner today. That one did well, and although it came off its highs, it was still a nice solid gain. So it's just not as exposed to those levels for good or ill. And today it was for the better.
All right, well, let's take a look at small caps quickly. As again, just trading below this 200 or 2000 level, that seems to be a really key area of resistance here.
Yeah, and you also have to keep in mind this has gone up and down, up and down. I mean, so these moves, it may seem scary, but that's the small caps have those kind of moves. It's still holding. I believe the actual Russell, which maybe not be up to date quite yet, but it was trying to hold the 2000 level, which is nice. It's still above the 21-day line. It's still above the 50-day line. So it's still in this sort of range that has been for the last couple of months, and just have to see how that goes.
All right, let's get your thoughts quickly on the 10-year Treasury yield. That falling slightly today, about half a percentage point. But as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, a little bit of a spike as investors are trying to gauge, how many interest rate cuts we're going to see this year.
Yeah, economy stronger than people expected maybe late last year. Inflation a little stickier, fewer rate cuts. Today, not a whole lot of action, but holding at these like 3-month highs.
All right, let's check in quickly on the semiconductor sector with SMH. And again, as we mentioned, tech stocks kind of leading the way today in terms of losses. This down about 2% today, came off those session lows. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, obviously this is very much dominated by Nvidia, which is the largest component by far, and a lot of other stocks. And like Nvidia, SMH, fell fairly hard intraday, but did come off lows. So, it's testing the 21-day line. This seems like a positive, and you can imagine that there could be opportunities out there if things go well with Nvidia. It's just like you just don't know. But coming close to the 21-day line, not that big of a deal, really.
All right. Well, again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. But you mentioned Manhattan Associates. So let's take a look at that, ticker MANH. And this one, a nice consolidation since that earnings gap on January 30th. And we kind of seen just a nice orderly pullback here to that 21-day exponential moving average.
Yeah, I mean, this is like when we look at pullbacks, we don't want to see things just plunge like you're at like an amusement ride. Or at least maybe more like the kiddie amusement ride. You want something nice and gentle.
Oh, those are so much more exciting.
Yeah, they're more exciting. But you don't want that terrifying. That's your portfolio. But this is like, it's been coming down gradually. The volume has been lighter. So just giving up a portion of that, coming down to the 21-day line. So that could be a place where you could potentially start a position or add shares, or maybe as it bounces off there or rebounds, breaks around this trend line area. This is just one that's been sort of quiet out there, but supply chain management, there's a few of these stocks that are doing pretty well. Some nice action, from the earnings. Again, I'm not sure how AI focused this one really is, but it's just the kind of thing is that, you could imagine this one doing well. It's just you probably want a little more strength and wait for Nvidia to get past, and to see how that goes.
All right, well, let's turn now to ServiceNow. That's ticker NOW. And this one also, down today about 1.6%, but this one also pulling back here to its 50-day line. So what are your thoughts with ServiceNow?
This is one of the stocks that was the first to break out almost in this rally. So you're looking for leaders. I mean, this wasn't the biggest winner, but this broke out, had early entries in here, then it formally broke out. I remember the market bottomed right around this level, and almost immediately ServiceNow was flashing buy signals. So definitely one to be watching. It's finally an opportunity. Yeah, there was a short consolidation here, but this is the first test of the 50-day line, maybe the second test of the 10-week line, but coming down to that level. And so it's doing that. So this is an opportunity where you might be thinking, hey, I could buy this and in a normal situation. But ServiceNow is an AI type play. They have alliances with Nvidia. So you could see this one, it's going to rust very much. This could easily move out. It may be one of those situations where would be hard to play, because it may either jump up 5% on Thursday morning or fall 5% or 10% on Thursday morning. So it makes it difficult. But this is what you want to see. Sometimes, this is what otherwise I think would have been a buying opportunity for ServiceNow. You certainly could have done it, but it's just the risks are higher with the Nvidia.
All right, well, let's take a look at our final stock. That's GigaCloud Technology, GCT. This one had a pretty wild day today, down about 24.8%. Came off the lows, heavy volume, but I guess the bright side here, Ed, nice to see it kind of bounce off that 50-day line, at least in this kind of wild trading session.
Yeah, well, this certainly shows you why we were warning about buying extended stocks. We just didn't know when something like this would happen. I mean, what's crazy here, this stock closed Friday 62% above its 50-day line, and it touched the 50-day line the next day. Luckily, as you say, it did come well off that level. So maybe this is just that thing. You know, it's the first time it came really below the 21-day, like really came through it, you know, through this run. You just have to know, you can look here, it doesn't seem like anything, but, you know, just a few months ago, it went on this huge run all the way up to 1860 and then lost basically 2/3 of its value in just a few weeks. And a lot of that came on the first day. So this is definitely a stock that can go on huge runs. There's some great fundamentals. Let's look at these numbers. They look great. I mean, I'm not going to say anything negative about that, but it's just also something right now. It's like, whoa, that is something to be watching out for. That's the character of the stock. So you do want to find chances to buy it that, you know, like sound buying opportunities, not just buying it anywhere. If you had a big position, certainly would have been understandable to significantly lighten the load today, just because that's a pretty strong sell signal. It did find support. Maybe it'll work. You know that one, you know, it definitely showed some nice action there from there. But it's something that, you know, investors have to know that this can turn back very quickly.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you so much for your insights. And that's it for today. We'll be back with more market analysis tomorrow morning, starting with IBD Live. You can head on over to investors.com/IBD Live for all the details there. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow after the close.